Right off the bat, you gotta know this is a max cushion shoe. This is a chonky boy shoe. Speaking from one myself.
After a few different attempts at purchasing, but ultimately returning previous pairs of New Balance shoes, I decided I'd give the Boston-based shoe company another chance and purchase one of their max cushion shoes. Was I fooled for thinking this brand's shoes would be any different than previous purchases I've made? Or are these going to be the first pair that finally work on my feet? Here's a review of my inaugural run in the New Balance Fresh Foam X More version 4.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Time to Run channel, where I do most of the research so you don't have to do it all on your own. My name is Joel. It's time to run in a brand new pair of shoes. Today I'm going to be doing a review on the New Balance Fresh Foam X More version 4 after 25 miles. Before I start, I just want to go over a couple of disclosures. I purchased these pair of shoes online with my own money. No one's paying me to review these shoes, or make the video for that matter. I'm not sponsored by New Balance or any of these brands seen or mentioned in this video. Now let's dive in. The upper is made of an engineered mesh material that's extremely forgiving, breathable, soft, and oh so comfortable. The upper gives just the right amount of give I need while keeping my forefoot and toes in a secure position for each of my strides. For long sessions, the toe box is a perfect size, giving enough room for my toes to display. Now let's talk overlays. This pair of shoes has a bunch of nice overlays, you can see them here, and it has a nice well-placed end logo that doubles as a reflective feature, which is helpful keeping you visible at night when light hits it in early morning or night runs. In the tail end of the shoe, it has two additional curved reflectors, you can see them here coming off the lateral and the medial portions of the heel to give more visibility to the rear and side coming traffic at a few different odd angles. For this night visibility test, I used a headlight, and here's what the shoes and corresponding reflectors look like in various angles using the Time to Run visibility test. Regarding the colorways, I personally really love the bright look to these blue and yellow airbrushed color accents. It's really just a beautiful look overall for sure. I'll say it's unfortunate how soon these will get dirty come fall and winter. I realize this is definitely a fair weather colorway, but I'm just going to enjoy it. This nice clean look until the rain comes. The tongue is one of the most intriguing and intelligently engineered designs of a tongue I think I've ever seen. It's a non-gusseted style, so it's kind of loose there. It's still very secure, not too padded. There's an off-center swallowtail design. This seems natural to one's anterior tibial tendon. It seems kind of more of a natural design than the standard rounded tongue. You can kind of see how off-center it is right there. But moving on to the midsole. So right off the bat, you gotta know, this is a max cushion shoe. And boy, does it deliver on the cushioning. With 34 millimeters of stack in the heel, and 44 millimeters of stack in the forefoot, overall 4 millimeter drop on the honest way. Comparing that to a more common household name trainer like the 2021 Nike Pegasus 38, which was 28 millimeters in the heel, the More version 4 is 6 millimeters taller than the Peg 38's heel. Not to mention the forefoot stack height in the More version 4 is a whopping 12 millimeters taller than the Peg 38. This certainly gives you a ride that doesn't feel so aggressive. Comfort is the shoe's middle name, really. The cushioning, as you may have already guessed, is their Fresh Foam X midsole foam. It's the plushiest foam. The plushiest? I don't know if that's right. It's the plushest, bounciest foam. Just plush enough that the shoes feel responsive and they react perfectly to my strides. Despite the cushioning, they don't feel dead. Quite the contrary. I've experienced all the comfort I want while being able to maintain up-tempo paces. Now, of course, I'm not going to take them to the track and do like repeats or anything like that. These are not for speed sessions. However, they certainly will hold their own when you want to do strides or, fast 30-second splits, say after each mile or K. The More V4 rocker geometry in the forefoot more than makes up for the less aggressive drop. It makes speeding up not so demanding, allowing you to roll easily through every stride. I felt the same rocker geometry New Balance has perfected over the years, and I'm super glad to see that it isn't absent despite the max cushion status. And despite the size of the shoe, the feeling of lightness underfoot from the midsole cannot be overstated. It is super light. It's ridiculously light. For my size, men's 12, the shoe weighed in at 12.9 ounces, or 25.8 as a pair. And I'm telling you, it feels like nothing. It's weightless. It's going to make running those longer miles quite enjoyable. I love the look of the midsole. One of the nice visual features of the midsole is these perforated holes. They can be seen on the lateral portion of the shoes, and New Balance's super familiar cobblestone design is a beautiful, unique look that I love that they continue that sort of tradition. As far as the lacing, this is a no-nonsense lacing design. There's not too much padding to the laces. They're not like sweat sponges, so they're not super absorbent. And they're also not too thin that they're going to put strain on odd places of the foot. So no complaints there. And moving back toward the back of the shoe, these shoes have a super comfortable heel counter. It's perfectly padded, gets out of the way. There's a nice spot here with a flared heel collar. I love the design. They've continued that since the second version. And the fact that they've continued that design since that version says so much about how much people love this heel in the shoe. It's super sturdy and just super sportive. So no abrasion there. And dipping down to the portion in the rear here, it's got that nice swallowtail to the actual heel here. I was kind of surprised at how much this was giving, and it didn't actually get in the way that much. So this kind of lets you roll back a little bit further than expected. But it's really going to be great for an awesome walking shoe. So take that as well to the bank. But it makes for great transitions from heel to midfoot as well. All right, and continuing to the rest of the outsole, starting with this valley or canyon in the heel portion here. This is just exposed midsole foam. It doesn't appear it'll ever reach points of contact with the ground, enough to show signs of wear. It's not flush that much with the rubber pads up top here, enough to really make any contact. However, looking at the wear close to the center of the underneath portion here, it appears that there are points that do make some minor contact with the ground. Not really assuming it will be problematic, just wanted to mention that. There are several more channels that separate over here each of the rubber pads, possibly useful for channeling out rain and puddles. So strategically placed raised rubber pads on the outsole here should, for all intents and purposes, make for a super durable outsole. However, I'm going to reserve my judgment once I've put in over 100 miles for these shoes, but we'll see. Now let's move on to life prediction. Let me just start by clarifying, there's no such thing. As much as I'd love to predict a pair of shoes' life, that's impossible. Reason being is the weight of a runner. One of the largest contributing factors of a shoe is how much a runner weighs. Are you 150 pounds? Are you 200 plus pounds? I would know. I'm a Clydesdale runner. I'm over 200 pounds. Another huge factor is what you're running on. Is it smooth concrete? Is it tarmac, asphalt? That's going to fare better by far than what I used to run on called chip seal out on country roads. Chip seal shreds the outsole, and combined with road winterizers, degradation may set in sooner than ideal. However, how many miles do I expect with my conditions, what I weigh? I'd probably say like 300, 400 miles max for a person of my size with my ideal conditions. What do I mean by ideal conditions? Well, these are personal to me, my size, where I run. I live in the tropical zone of 6B. Some people don't even know what a tropical zone is. It's basically just whatever your weather is, essentially, and what you can plant there and all that stuff. It's a little complicated. But regardless, all it means is that we have hot summers starting sometime as soon as April and ending as late as October. We have cold winters with plenty of snow and ice. Snow can come as early as September and run as late as May. Other personal ideal factors are if I incur no excessive weight gain and I continue to run generally in the same place with a few variances between, obviously an occasional, paved trail or something like that on a road run. So that packed dirt shouldn't affect it that much. But I would also say probably only once or twice in the life of these shoes will I be running in conditions that are above 90 degrees Fahrenheit or below 0 degrees Fahrenheit. Wrapping up with the details and tech specs. How did I feel running in these shoes? My inaugural run consisted of an 8-miler, and it's worth noting I came off a long bout of having a cold. I attempted a few runs in a couple of different shoes after the cold, but a combination of not getting my nutrition right and or residual fatigue just kept me from having runs that I felt proud of. So once I did get these shoes though, and once they arrived, I knew I needed to make sure that I had my nutrition dialed in, that I was careful and attentive to get all my pre-run stuff worked out, which helped me to turn things around and make the first run quite successful. I focused on using heart rate this time as a metric for pacing, and toward the last quarter mile I picked up the paces for some strides. So yeah, overall it was a really great experience. I loved running in the shoe. The first run was great, and all the other runs since then were just so enjoyable for sure. Now let's move on to the fit. This fit was true to size in my US men's size 12. The toe box is super roomy and felt super comfortable. So in conclusion, will these go in my rotation, and if so, where? I gotta tell you, these shoes absolutely are going in my rotation. They deserve a top spot in my long run shoe category. I would even go as far as to say if you're not in a rigid training block and you don't mind the weight and the bulkiness of the shoe, I could even see them being used as an interim daily trainer as well if you're in between trainers and until you find your next ideal trainer. It's simply because they're so forgiving and they offer such great recovery benefits. You can pick up paces when you need to switch it up as well. So I'll certainly be using them for the purpose myself until I find my next daily trainer. By far, this was the most comfortable foam underfoot I've ever run in a shoe to date. I also like how far out the foam extends medially and laterally. These additions gave me the most confident ride than what I've ever experienced in a shoe before. And I'm making a lot of generalizations and so on and so forth. But the last pair of shoes, my Nova Blast version 1s, I love those shoes. But honestly, these deliver better max cushion and sort of recovery benefits than they do. Those are, more on the cusp of a better version of a daily trainer because they have a lot of good comfort and they can pick up the paces. This isn't quite at that level. And I don't want them to be. I want these to be super cushioned. I want them exactly how they are. I don't want these to change at all. These are great. Max cushion, long run shoes. Don't want them as a daily trainer necessarily, but I can use them as a daily trainer in the interim. That being said, let's move on. I'm optimistic about the outsole rubber, but I'm also not going to hold my breath about how long these shoes will last. Long day running shoes cannot afford to have soft or vulnerable outsoles. It must be able to stand the test of time, and I look forward to giving an update on these shoes at the 100-mile mark. Speaking of which, I'd love to hear from you as to which shoes in the daily trainer category you'd like me to review next. Please leave me the name of the shoes in the comment section down below. The shoe most mentioned in the comments, assuming I can afford it. If it's in my price range, I will get you a review. Also, are there any trail shoes you're hoping to see a review on? Send those my way as well too. Please let me know in the comments. So that concludes my review of the New Balance Fresh Foam X More version 4. You could practically run a 5K saying that entire name. Hope you found this video helpful. Let me know by hitting the like button if you did. Please leave me a comment down below if you have any further questions. And lastly, what category of shoe do you plan on purchasing next? Is it a max cushion shoe like this is? Is it a daily trainer? A speed shoe? Let me know in the comments section down below. Use the like button. Use the comments. Thanks so much for watching. And if anyone asks you what your favorite YouTube running channel is, just tell them it's time to run.